At this stage in the course, we know perfectly well what capital goods are. They are higher-order economic goods, which we also termed factors of production. They do not satisfy human needs directly, like consumer goods do, but instead require the involvement of other complementary factors and a period of time before maturing into a consumer good. Traditionally, capital goods have been defined as man-made factors of production to distinguish computers, machines, tools, manufacturing plants, vehicles, trucks, etc. from land or natural resources, though practically speaking, natural resources are also higher-order economic goods. The difference between a capital good and a natural resource lies in whether or not the good or resource wears out with use. A plot of land is indestructible as a stretch of ground, the plot of land where a building stands. While the building is a capital good, the plot of land is a natural resource. The building does wear out, though slowly. Depreciation refers to the deterioration of a capital good due to its use in the production process. Depreciation can be physical. It can result from natural wear, because building fronts wear out, roofs are damaged, plumbing must be repaired every so many years. Depreciation can also be owing to technical obsolescence. In other words, though a building may not physically wear out, it may become outdated with respect to the needs of human beings. Both technical obsolescence and physical wear lead to the depreciation of a capital good. In contrast, a natural resource does not depreciate. It is indestructible. It lasts indefinitely. What is the difference between a capital good, for example, an adjustable wrench is a capital good, a computer is a capital good, a truck is a capital good, a factory is a capital good? What is the difference between a capital good and capital? Well, it's very simple. A capital good consists of a concrete good, while capital is an abstract concept, an economic calculation. Capital refers to the estimated value at market prices of capital goods. Do you know the etymological origin of the term capital? It derives from the Latin caput, meaning head. Why is the estimated value at market prices of capital goods called capital? Because it takes a mental effort to estimate, through economic calculation, accounting, at market prices, the value of the capital goods at our disposal. There is only one social system which permits such an estimate. It is the social system of a market economy, based on the spontaneous process of voluntary cooperation, in which both money and voluntary exchanges are present. Therefore, the most scientifically appropriate term for this marvelous system, which makes life in society possible and enables us to make an estimate in our heads, caput, capitis, of capital, or the value at market prices of capital goods, is capitalism. That is precisely why we call it the capitalist system, or capitalism, for it is the only system that permits, thanks to the existence of a voluntary social process in which capital goods are constantly being exchanged for money and market prices take shape, it is the only system that permits economic calculation, that is, the estimation at market prices of the value of the capital goods at entrepreneurs' disposal. Entrepreneurs are continually estimating the value at market prices of different combinations of capital goods, and when they find disparities, they immediately react to maladjustments by buying low and selling high, and obtaining a profit by the process we've studied. There is a constant reshuffling or recombination of capital goods towards those uses with the highest market value, as estimated through economic calculation. This wonder is permitted only by the capitalist system, thus its name. I want to emphasize this because a process of semantic corruption has sprung from left-wing ideologies hostile to civilization. Generation after generation, those who support these ideologies have insisted on labeling as capitalist everything bad, perverse and corrupt. That is capitalism, and everything good is socialism. Not so, ladies and gentlemen. After today's class, it should be clear to all of you that we need to push up the value of the term capitalism. Because it is the most scientifically appropriate term, and also the most attractive to define this system of social cooperation. We should all be very proud to say we are capitalists. So, are you a socialist? No, I'm a capitalist. Nowadays, the word capitalist carries terrible associations. Capitalism is seen as a dire disgrace. In fact, this semantic corruption has become so influential that it affects even the most important moral leaders. For example, consider Centesimus Annus, an encyclical written by Pope John Paul II. Section 42 of the encyclical serves as an illustration. The former pope poses this question: in light of the past, which social system is the best or the least detrimental, socialism or capitalism? And he answers that if by capitalism we mean a market economy subject to general legal principles, with voluntary exchanges, a system fueled by the entrepreneurial spirit, etc., then undoubtedly the capitalist social system is the most moral. But he immediately adds that nevertheless it would be more fitting to call it something other than capitalism, something like business economy, market economy, or free economy. And why shouldn't we call it capitalism? After all, we've just seen that that is the most appropriate term, scientifically speaking. There has been such a process of semantic corruption that capitalism has become a politically incorrect term, and I would like all of us to work together to gradually overthrow this dictatorship of political correctness, and explain that, in scientific terms, the most appropriate name for the market economy is the capitalist economic system. Now, gross income refers to the value, at market prices, of what a capital good produces. Suppose an entrepreneur has a Renault, and it's a taxi. It is a capital good. If the capital good brings in 6,000 euros a month, the gross monthly income of the capital good is 6,000 euros. However, what would happen if the taxi driver spent the 6,000 euros? Would that be smart of him? Remember that capital goods depreciate, and the taxi will gradually wear out. It will last 5 years, but at the end of 5 years, the taxi is going to fall apart. If the taxi driver spends the gross income, he is consuming the taxi. He may live very comfortably on 6,000 euros a month, but after 5 years, he's going to lose his taxi and his job. Therefore, we need to introduce the concept of net income. Net income is the amount of gross income which can be used without the loss of capital. Hence, gross income minus the accounting amount corresponding to depreciation or amortization equals net income. If I use more than my net income, I am consuming capital. It's like the story of the ant and the grasshopper. In the short term, I may live more comfortably, but I am consuming capital. If the opposite is true, and I use less than my net income, I am saving, and that will permit me to increase my capital goods, and be richer in the future. I repeat, it is always necessary to save at least the accounting amount corresponding to depreciation or amortization, in order to maintain our standard of living intact and keep capital from disappearing. Are there capital goods in North Korea? In other words, my question is, in North Korea, are there manufacturing plants? Are there trucks? Are there cranes? Yes or no? Yes, without a doubt. In communist countries there are capital goods. But what about capital? How did we define capital? We said that capital is an abstract concept, an economic calculation. We defined it as the estimated value, at free market prices, of capital goods. Does capital exist in those countries? No, because there is no free market, and therefore market prices do not take shape, and entrepreneurs cannot estimate the value of their capital. This is precisely the reason socialism is impossible, because economic calculation is impossible under such conditions. Entrepreneurs act blindly. They cannot recombine the factors of production to achieve what they value most. And this would be true even if we accepted that they should pursue the goals the North Korean dictator values most. These entrepreneurs are completely in the dark because they cannot make calculations.
Porque no pueden calcular.